if you're an extremist?
I think on the left, I'd say like political parties would be obviously if you were like communist and stuff like that, but there are a lot technically that's economic, not like ideology, I guess. So it's kind of in terms of ideology, it's like I don't know if these are the actual names for them. I play. Have I told you about Kaiserreich?
No.
It's a mod for that Hearts of Iron 4 game.
Yeah.
Um. And it's basically it's like what if Germany won World War One, not two. So yes, so in it, it's so obviously Germany won, so the king's still in charge and all that sort of stuff, and the Germany, no, not Germany, France and the UK are both communist. They're
Wait, what? That was a
so
thing?
it was it's kind of a cool alternate history thing because if Germany had won, because obviously they were fighting Germany, and
I
if
didn't
Germany
know
had,
that. I don't know anything about
well,
World War
that would explain it. So if you look at it on paper, World War One and World War Two were actually pretty similar, in that it was basically the same people fighting each
Right.
other in World War One and World War Two.
Okay.
So it was the Allies versus the Axis, or the Central Powers, which was basically the Allies were the UK, France, and the US. Were like kind of the three big ones, and the Axis Central Powers was. It actually changed quite a bit. The main one's just Germany, basically, for the Central Powers slash Axis. Because they were like the only ones that were actually on that side in both of them. But so for World War One, Germany's allies were the Ottoman Empire, which is basically Turkey,
Okay.
and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which is Austria, Hungary, and they were
I'm so
massive.
smart.
It was very good. They had a ton of land. It was spread like everywhere. Basically, they were massive. So it was like these three big monarchies that were all together in a faction called the Central Empires, versus versus the West, which was the Allies and stuff. Yeah. So that was World War One, and obviously the Allies won, as you probably know. We won. Yes, we did win. A lot of people debate whether we should have actually gotten involved in it, which is actually
It's a debate we have on every war.
debate. Well, it was like we actually got attacked in World War II,
Right,
and that's
yeah,
why
that's
we
true.
entered the war. We didn't really in World War One. We just felt like joining, and it was people were kind of like, why? Because quite a few people died, as you might imagine.
War is war.
Yes. So some people were a bit unhappy with that, and it was I kind of agree with them in the sense that like we didn't really necessarily have to get involved, but at the same time, it's like we also kind of, because in fairness, the Germans and stuff like that were not the greatest people.
Yeah.
They
no,
weren't.
They never really have been.
They weren't. You know, they weren't World War II bad, but
Right,
they weren't
that
necessarily
was
good.
most Germans were Nazis at that point, so I hope not.
Yes, you know, it's so yeah, because in World War One they weren't really, they did some stuff that they probably shouldn't have done, but it wasn't nearly as bad as, again, what happened like 20, 30 years later. So
Right.
it was kind of like, would the world have been, the world absolutely would have been much different if the US had, or if Germany had won and the US probably hadn't gotten involved, although I don't know if we necessarily had won the war for them. We helped, obviously, but I wouldn't say we necessarily. The Germans never realistically were winning that war, unless something catastrophic happened. But, what happened? Yeah, I think. So the Germans invaded Belgium to get to France, and Belgium was neutral, and so they were like, "That's not cool, man. Why'd you do that?" And Germany was like, "We wanted to get to France," and they were like, "Okay, that's still not cool, but I understand that."
They didn't get involved
So-
still.
What do you mean?
Like, even after being invaded, Belgium didn't get involved with the war.
Well, no. So Belgium had remained neutral until that point. They didn't really pick a side, but
Yeah.
Germany just straight up invaded them anyway, and people were like, "That's not cool, bro." But at that point, the war had already started, so it was like, you know, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was kind of like fair game at that point, because. What, should I give you actually a history lesson on World War One?
Sure.
Okay, I'll try and do this somewhat quickly, but also try and thoroughly explain it. So yeah, I explained to you Central Powers and the Allies already, and I will add that Ruski,
Ruski?
Russia,
Oh. They just said
uh,
Russia.
were they weren't like in the Allies, but they were very close to the Allies. So they were like, you know, yeah, the Allies went to war, then they would probably go to war too. Anyways, so Austria-Hungary, had conquered a ton of land, and they were massive, and there were a lot of like ethnic minorities that lived in their land that were not too happy with them because they wanted independence, obviously. So they were like, "What the heck, man?" And while the crown prince was in somewhere in the Balkans, which is like near Italy, kind of. You know where Yugoslavia was? It's like in the Croatia area.
Okay.
If you can remember back to our map thing.
Nope. Not capable.
Okay, so
Wait, what am I-
basically, they went to some place. I can't remember. I think it was Serbia, actually, which is in that area. But you don't know where the area is.
That's what up.
Anyways, yeah. So they were going down there, and the crown prince was like basically like touring, kind of, a bit. He was just like checking on the folks, you know, in top car, which always goes well. Cough, cough, JFK. So, so yeah, he did that, and then they tried to. Obviously, they were not happy with them, and I think you can probably guess where this is going. So they tried to assassinate him, and they had actually missed, and I think they blew up the car in front of the crown prince, the prince, which was like the police escort. So they went to go They went into hiding, but then they came back out to go visit them in the hospital. But the driver, get this, made a wrong turn. Sick. I saw that.
That was
That was awesome. Get this, how ironic. The driver made a wrong turn. And so they ended up like at like a stoplight. They didn't have a stoplight. This was like
I know they
19.
have those. Me too.
Uh, they were stopped or whatever. Like
Stop sign,
somewhere,
maybe?
whatever. So maybe I don't even know if they had stop signs back then. This was like 1910, so I mean, cars are barely a thing. But anyway, they were stopped somewhere, right next to one of the assassins. How coincidental. Who was just literally standing in the street right there. And he was like, oh, isn't this awesome? So I'm just gonna shoot this guy in the head. So he did that.
Nice. Wait, so wait. Did they shoot the assassins or did the assassins shoot them?
The assassin shot Austro-Hungary man.
That is rip.
Yes. Which I would be if I were up in heaven or whatever and that driver died, I'll go back to that bear fighting thing. Me in heaven fighting the driver who led me to my inevitable death after parking next to an assassin. Because I'd be, that's such an unfortunate and like ironic thing to happen that you literally get parked up right next to one of them.
That is really ironic, yeah.
Yes. So, anyways, where I'm getting at is that Austro-Hungary was obviously not happy with this because the king's son just got shot and killed by a Serbian. So they were like, "Sir," which I think he was there for diplomatic reasons, maybe, because I think Serbia was free, maybe. I don't think they were actually under that I don't think they were actually under Austro-Hungary, but I think they had a lot of people that were, and they didn't like Austro-Hungary, so they shot the prince. But basically, Russia was good chums with Serbia. Yes, they were good chums. Yes, good chaps.
Caps.
And they liked each other. So when Austro-Hungary inevitably, I think they gave Serbia like a long list of like an ultimatum basically that was like impossible. Like there was no way they were gonna be able to do it. Or there was no way that they were going to do it. It was possible, but it was like you give up like all your land and stuff. Anyways, they obviously said no, and Austro-Hungary invaded. Now, because the Russians were friends with the Serbians, and they were also friends with the Allies, and the Allies and the Central Powers were not too happy with each other due to political conflict at this point, they were kind of like, it's wartime, baby. So anyways, it's wartime. They do the thing. And right now, it is only... Sorry. The German Empire and Austro-Hungarian Empire in the Central Powers. I mentioned the Ottomans, and they will come back later. The other people who were supposed to be in that war were the Italians, but they decided, actually, we're not going to get involved, which was probably better for them. Exactly. That's exactly what they said.
That sounded like that too, of course.
Exactly. That was bang on.
Stereotypes.
Yes. So because they, I believe, were in the Central Powers, but they were like, I don't want to go to war, apparently.
Fair
So
enough.
it was basically just
Clearly.
Germany and Austria by themselves. Yeah.
They were probably pissed.
Yeah, so they were like, "What the deuce, man?"
Yeah, right.
They were giving. I think Italy was giving them support, of course, but like they weren't really doing anything. Anyways, so Germany tries to go into France, and then this is basically the beginnings of trench warfare, which was basically the entire war.
Classic. That's like the big thing that I know about World War One.
Yes, it was basically all trench warfare and the introduction to planes and tanks, and a few other things.
Stainless.
Yes. So they didn't really get very far when they tried to push into France. It didn't really go well. So they, as I mentioned, invaded Belgium. And
Right. Okay.
again,
So
the
we're
Allies
there.
were not happy with that. Yes, and they did some stinky stuff in Belgium,
Right.
such
Waffles.
as
Did they
what-
create waffles?
No, but they did do what the Japanese did in China.
Oh, what did they do in China?
Have you
Oh,
heard
this
of it?
was back with when there were dynasties and.
No.
No. Okay, explain.
World War II times, Japan invaded
Oh.
China, and there was
Oh.
the whole rape of Nanking.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that. To Belgique.
Pretty bad.
And so the U.S. the U.S. and Germany to this point were kind of like that, and then that sort of stuff happened, and then they were kind of like that. So
It's a great diagram.
yeah, it was kind of like they were kind of like supportive in the beginning, and then they were kind of like, so
Yeah.
they kind of backed off a little bit, and then because they invaded a neutral country, and then started doing some sketchy stuff there,
Right.
and it was kind of like we don't like that. So the U.S. started kind of sending stuff to the Allies, and that'll come back later. But there was the infamous Schlieffen Plan, which was a German plan by a General Schlieffen, I believe.
Classic. Naming things after yourself. What a guy.
Yes, what a guy. And it was basically like how they were gonna invade France, and unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, after what they did in Belgium, it did not go to plan.
That's it. That's a good thing. Ah, friends. I'm not gonna say that. I'm recording.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Moving swiftly on. Yeah. So Germany. If you look at how far Germany got in World War II compared to World War One, it is such a massive difference. It's like uncanny. Because in World War II, they successfully invaded the entire Benelux region, Poland, all of, I think they had gotten most of Czechoslovakia, decent. What else had they got? And they were allies with a bunch of people too. They had taken out the entire northern half of France and had a puppet basically in the bottom half. And had a ton of Russia. So they were like here. Germany was like in World War One was like here. They had like Belgium and a tiny bit of France. And that was
Yikes.
about it. Yeah. So that was basically as far as they had gotten, and then because trench warfare was so like brutal and just kind of No, not Pog, actually.
No, don't. Yeah, no, that was kind of out of context here, wasn't it? Oh
Yeah,
no.
frick. Yeah, because it was so, like, just kind of, it had such a heavy toll on the soldiers, it was just kind of like everyone started to get worn down pretty quickly, and war exhaustion just kind of set in, and then the Germans were like messing with the US. So the US had started trading with the Allies, as I had mentioned, and the Germans were like not happy with that, so they started like sinking American boats
That's not
that
Pog.
they had in World War II. That is correct. And so the US was like, you know what, screw you, Germany. We are entering the war
Okay,
with the
I think it
Allies.
was fair to go into war then. If that's the case, I think that's fair. Because they were sinking our ships. That like, I mean, maybe there was a better way of going about it, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm better informed on World War II than World War One. So this is just kind of my general whatever. Oh yeah, let's go back to the Ottomans because I
Oh
haven't
yeah,
mentioned them yet.
they're the Turks, right?
Yes, the Turkish, who had also grown quite large. They, I believe, gotten in a bit of trouble with, who was it? The Russians and the Allies. And the Russians and the Allies were not happy with them, so they were like, oh shoot, we gotta do something. So they decided to join the Central Powers, and they joined the war. And then were, militaristically incompetent and lost the war.
Yay.
So, yes. So, yeah, the Ottomans were not really that fantastic. The Austrians were okay, but they actually were kind of meh. They had a few moments where it was like that was stupid. And then Germans were pretty like the as in World War DOS, they were like the militaristically competent ones with some sketchy tactics used.
Sketchy tactics, such as invading Belgium, for no reason.
Precisely. So, yeah, the Germans started, basically, long story short, the Germans started to lose, aka Central Powers, and they started losing bad. And then they got pushed back and they lost. Unsurprising.
Hug.
Yes, sure. So, yes, so, and that actually led to like everything that has happened in recent times.
That
Er,
seems like a stretch.
Well, it caused World War II, which led to many things in recent times.
Isn't that more Hitler though? Like Hitler kind of caused World War II.
Well, let's get on to Hitler now. Adolphus was a soldier for the German Empire in World War Uno.
Really?
And actually, yes, he gotten a medal, and there's an interesting story where an American soldier, I believe, had actually like pinned him on the ground and had his barrel like in Hitler's face, but decided to spare him.
If only,
Yeah, I
dude.
know. And yeah, so he decided to spare him, and then
Yeah.
you know, yes, exactly. That's why soldiers who show mercy should not be soldiers. Anyways.
Okay. I like that mindset.
Yeah, so, and then he had gotten pretty messed up in one of the trenches and was in the hospital, and then when he got out of the hospital, he heard that the Germans had lost, and he was very unhappy about this. So he became a spy, actually, and, or he was like kind of working. He was working, I believe, with like the German government, and he was basically a spy. He was like, what do you call it? He was like infiltrating political parties, basically,
Okay.
and he infiltrated the National Socialist Party, aka the NSDAP or Nazi Party,
Oh.
which he thought, as the name would probably imply, considering it has socialist in it, was like communist,
Right.
but it actually wasn't. And he started to like their message more and more. And he was like, I kind of dig these guys. So he got involved with them and became like their leader over time.
Yeah,
And
he was a really good speaker. That was part of the problem. Like, he was really,
Yes.
like, he was pretty believable when he talked. You could get behind
yes.
him.
And I watch a German YouTuber who's like pretty. He plays like map games and stuff like that. And he's pretty big into like he talks about politics and stuff like that a lot.
Yeah.
He says, "We are true." He's from Germany, obviously, as I said,
Right.
and he said, you know, the Nazi Party still has some popularity, but they don't have any good like talkers or like leaders or anything. If they actually get a good leader, then that's when it's like, uh-oh.
You think that they could actually come back? Like, Germans are that stupid now.
There are still people who, as I've heard him describe, some people there still believe that they never lost the Second World War, basically. And that they're still living under the Nazi government, I believe.
Okay, they're really
Yeah.
stupid then.
Yeah, so that's like their like ultra right wing people is like yes, there are still the vast majority of people over there are just kind of like that was really bad, let's not do
Right.
that again.
Yeah.
There is a small percentage that is like that never happened, let's do it again.
Yikes.
And yeah, exactly. So, but that small percentage of people is like, everyone else is like, you're an idiot, what are you doing?
Right.
And it's like, you know, they will listen, but like, I don't know, they're just like delusional, and they're
Yeah, obviously.
they all are.
We got
I mean,
those here.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and they say ridiculous thing like when the whole COVID thing was going around and the mask mandates and stuff like that. That was something. I think one of anti-maskers was comparing herself to someone who like was in the Holocaust or something like that. It was like, how are you, a German citizen, actually going to say that? Like,
Yeah.
how is that possible? It's just, I think it's, as long as they do not have a competent leader who's like, again, like the Adolphus, like, I don't think they will have anywhere near enough
Yeah.
political. They just won't get anywhere.
Right, yeah.
And I
I
think
can see that.
Germany has a very like anti-Nazi dissent, basically,
Yeah, exactly.
where it's just kind of like, you know, this was again. It's like, as I said, this was really bad. Let's not do that again. So.
Yeah.
A lot, and they all grow up, and a lot of like Nazi-related books and articles and movies and stuff like that are all banned over there, just because it's like they really don't want this happening again for good reason. So it's like, I feel like that would be the least common place probably for it to happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it's like, and they are actually one of the more left-wing countries now, especially in Europe. I think recently I can't remember, someone recently got elected from a party that was like pretty left side and kind of, what do you call it? I can't even remember what it's called. It was pretty like kind of like this hadn't really happened before. But I think they're so. The reason why is because they were like, that was really bad. Don't do that again. We're going over this way. And so, and I think it's kind of the same with a lot of Eastern European, or same in the opposite with a lot of Eastern European countries. Because they're starting to go a bit more rightwards because they were all communist and they were like,
Yeah.
that sucked. Let's not do that again. Let's go this way. So it's like, you know, I think it's just kind of people when they see something bad that happened, like when bad people lead a certain political party,
Yeah.
they
go the
tend to
opposite
just
way.
go extreme opposite.
Yeah, so they overcorrect, you're
So-
saying.
Basically, like a lot of
sure.
people just overcorrect when something bad happens. So yeah, that happened. Where was I going with this?
You World War One explaining, maybe?
Oh, yeah, so I finished World War One, I think, and
Okay, yeah, I pretty
I
much,
finished
yeah.
talking about Adolphus.
Adolphus.
What I never known until somewhat recently was that they never actually found his body,
Actually?
which always.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
no, I knew that. Yeah. No.
So
they
it's
didn't.
always been presumed that he killed himself, but
Yeah, but
it's
that's
not
not
actually
necessarily confirmed.
known.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Is it's like you can't really tell, and a lot actually. It's a bit of a, I don't know if it's a joke because it's actually like true. A bunch of Nazi leaders went to Argentina, oddly enough.
I found out about that, and they were I was doing research on that actually. I don't remember any of it, but I do remember that specific detail.
Yeah, which I don't know necessarily why you choose Argentina of all places, but anyways,
Yeah, no.
yeah, so a bunch of them went there, and the other thing was, the sad part is that, like, a lot of Nazi officials and stuff like that didn't really get prosecuted. Like, obviously, all the top ones did, but, like, if you were someone who was, like, in the party, or even, like, a soldier or worked at one of the camps or something like that, you probably wouldn't have been punished that
Well,
severely.
yeah,
It
because
was
everyone in Germany at the time was a Nazi. You can't prosecute everyone. You know?
But it's like they should have been more harsh on it. I feel like
I guess.
it's like, yeah, you don't punish every like party member, but
Yeah.
those who like actively like worked in the camps and stuff like that, and
But
were like,
that's also a ton of them.
again, it's like I'd almost rather have to go through like them. Like, I'd rather prosecute a ton of people, but knowing that they were all bad people, rather than just like be like, I can't be bothered and just let them go. Because
Well,
it's like,
we did like some honesty thing, right? Where they would like tell the truth, and then we would like do some. I think that's what we did.
it's like I'd rather like just prosecute them. Like I want to just. They are some of if not the worst people to have graced planet Earth.
But at the same time, they were gonna get killed if they didn't do that. Like they were ordered to, and they were gonna get killed otherwise. So some of them might not have even been terrible. And Forrest is calling me.
Not necessarily, because like, you can join the party and stuff like that, but you don't necessarily have to be like working in one of the camp or like a soldier. Well, you might have
If
to.
they order
were
you to.
conscripting. They were conscripting soldiers actually. I think they should have gone a bit less harsh on the soldiers because a lot of them were just kind of conscripted, but they were like the ones. I watched a video on what happened to the soldiers, Nazi soldiers, after the war ended, and the ones
I
that
think
went
that's
to
the
like
same video I watched.
Soviet work camps were not treated very well. Say, so or even the ones that were sent to France were not treated very well. Like, and that was a Western country. Like they were like imprisoned almost, but
That was terrifying. Holy.
Yeah, I think they definitely. There were a lot of like sort of suspect things that went on with how we handled the ending of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because we also like took some German scientists with us, which was
Those were. Yeah, that's weird. That's really.
it's kind of like you know. Well, one of our most prominent astronomists. I don't know. I assume it's a word.
Astrologists? No,
Astronomers.
Astronomers.
Astronomers was actually working for the Nazi Party.
Interesting. That's not good.
We nabbed them.
Nabbed him?
Yeah, we were basically like, we'll give you protection and stuff like that if you make us a rocket to the moon. And he did.
Rocket balloon.
I said rocket to the moon. Thank you.
I think you said rocket balloon.
I'm congested, okay?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that happened. Let's talk about the Cold War now. I like talking about history.
The Cold War, I do know a little bit about the Cold War.
Yes. The Cold War I find pretty interesting because it's like,
Yeah.
it's at so many points it could have been an actual war, but it wasn't, which amazes me. Like, I would absolutely not have wanted to live through that period.
Yeah, that'd be
'cause it was
terrifying. That's like some Cuban Missile
I-
Crisis stuff.
Exactly. Like living through that is like how do you even process that? Like like that you are almost like you could just be snapped away at like a wrong press of a button. Like it could be accidental. Like that's I mean it's crazy. And you know, our parents obviously lived through that time. At least part of it, the latter half, mostly. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I know a decent amount about the Cold War, not a ton though.
Yeah, same here. You probably know more than me, just considering you're you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what was I gonna say? Yes, it all started with
Russia, right?
Let's talk about. Should we talk about Giuseppe instead? 'Cause he's
up to
more
you.
interesting.
He's kind of more interesting. Did I get the clip? I got the free clip, dude.
Oh,
It's correct.
let's get it.
By the way, can we address how I'm like a minute ahead right now?
Yes, this is
Talking is so much better than just doing runs on your own.
exactly. This is pretty amazing. What was I gonna say? Yes, I think because if the Soviets had lost World War II, then Stalin would be considered almost as bad, or maybe worse than Hitler.
Stalin
Yes,
was
he
really
was.
bad. He killed so many of his own citizens. Like,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think he's very overlooked because
Yeah.
he did kind of win the war. And it's like, you know, oh, he won the war. It's like that, but that's how it always is. It's like if
Yeah.
you win, you know, it's only a war crime if you lose, you know. But
No, 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 no. There is some flawed logic there.
that's my quote of the day.
Oh no. We're fine.
But yeah, I think if they had lost the war, it absolutely would have been like he would have been
Yeah.
he and the Soviets would have been like Hitler and the Nazis.
Well, also, but that was like near when when World War II was, right? So it was kind of like people were
Well,
still
he was ruling during World War II.
exactly. People were so focused on Hitler that they just completely forgot Stalin was doing what he's doing.
That's what I'm saying. I think or the other thing is, if Hitler didn't take power, I think Stalin would have been
Oh yeah,
the main
bad
target.
guy.
Yeah. So I think, like, it's kind of, it's kind of hard to know exactly how bad he was, but it's like, it's pretty certain that he was just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of hard to say.
Frick, dude, it's like 30 seconds.
Darn. Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to say. Like, you can't really compare exactly. Well, you almost can. The thing about them is like because they were leaving at the same time, it's like you actually can kind of compare and contrast them somewhat fairly.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I think it would definitely be an accurate thing to say. Stalin, yeah, obviously he was very bad. I think I would not necessarily disagree that he was worse than Hitler, but I wouldn't necessarily say that he was like miles worse because they were
They're
both
pretty
kind of up
close.
there.
Yeah, they're pretty
Yeah.
bad. They're like collaborating with each other. Yeah, how many people should we kill this month? Like,
Yeah, they're fighting to each other is what they're
yeah.
doing.
Oh yeah. It's like a contest. Who can kill more people? Oh Jesus Christ.
13.1 million. Oh yeah.
Why do I feel like that's the correct statistic? Why do I feel like you just know that?
I actually don't know. It's probably.
Dang.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I feel like that would be gnarly if I just popped that one off the top of
Pretty
my head.
gnarly.
Yes. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I like some things like actually, because I find that mod pretty interesting. I like playing it just for the storyline, really. Just because I like thinking kind of about what the world would be like if
Right.
that
That's an interesting
happens.
question. Yeah.
Because I feel like it's not really, it's always like, what would happen if Germany won World War II? And it's like, that one's somewhat easy to answer because they kind of said that, but like, no one really thinks about World War One that much. So, yeah, another thing that happens is it's almost guaranteed that the U.S. has a civil war, the second American Civil War.
Wait, are you like now? You're saying like modern times?
No, it's so the game. The
Oh,
mod starts at like the same time as regular Hearts of Iron 4, which is like 1936. So it's like right before World War II, basically. like kind of in the lead up to it. So it's basically a second American Civil War happens, right in like 37, I want to say, maybe 1937, I think. And it's usually it kind of changes depending on their different ways you can go, because this is not really historical, but it's usually the AUS, which is the American Union State, which is like the far right.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's led by, I can't remember his name now.
I don't believe.
He was a pretty influential guy it's based on real people, obviously, and he was pretty influential in Southern politics back in the day. And he was kind of, in
That would
that
make sense.
general direction. But I think he died fairly young, and so he never really got to. I think he was going to run for president, but died somehow. I can't remember what his name was, but
Tragic.
yes. So he leads one of them. I'm actually gonna look at it here.
I'm 2 minutes and 25 seconds ahead. What the hell happened there? Okay.
Wow. Here it is. So it's led by the America First Party.
Ah.
Founded in this is the lore for Kaiser Reich right here. Founded in 1934. This is his name. They have a certain nickname for him in the Kaiser Reich community, which is his name's he was a Louisiana senator, Huey Long, or Huey Longdong, I believe.
That's the nickname?
He was, yeah. Yeah, so he was definitely that a ways.
Yeah.
Or that a no, I think it's still right. Yeah, it's that way. Yeah, they're pretty right. Their soldiers are called Minutemen.
I've heard that before.
Yes, they named it after the Revolutionary War.
That would be why.
Yeah. So he was actually a Louisiana senator in real life that was kind of towards the right. And actually, let's see, I can't remember exactly. I believe he was nicknamed the Kingfish.
Nice, that's a nice nickname. So Long Dong was not his nickname.
Well, that's his secondary.
Secondary nickname.
Yeah.
Nice. Got a lot going for him here.
Yeah. He was actually assassinated.
Good. Wait, in real life?
Yes.
Okay, maybe not as good.
Yeah. He was actually the governor of Louisiana. And
Was
senator.
he good? Generally speaking.
Let's figure. I think you'd probably like him. He was pretty right words.
Well, if I would like him, like, that means he's not extreme. That's what I'm saying. Like, if he's not extreme,
Yeah.
then he probably shouldn't have been, assassinated.
Basically, I think he was assassinated, and I believe the reason why was because he got some sort of he got a judge like booted,
Oh,
and the guy's son-in-law just went up to Mr. Long Dong and just shot him.
oh. So he had, I guess he had his father's death to motivate him to do it. That makes sense. Still not right, but, you know.
No, wait, well, his father's death?
Oh, wait, not death. Sorry, just his boot. That's, okay, that's worse. I don't know why I thought you said death.
So, actually, he has a grave and a statue at the Capitol building. So I can't imagine that he was that
Yeah.
bad of a person, if that exists. Yeah, he's a legendary figure in parts of Louisiana, so he's probably pretty.
But let's be honest, Trump is a legendary figure in parts of America, so that's not really saying much.
That's true. That's kind of ironic. Someone who founded a Marxist-Leninist political party was named after Huey Long.
What? Why? It's clearly not Marxist.
No idea. I don't think he was really that bad. Yeah, he was poised for a 1936 presidential bid.
Bid? What does that mean?
Like, he was basically gonna run in the 1936 elections.
Oh.
But he was obviously
Assassinated.
That
That sucks.
Yes. Yeah, he was a pretty good guy, I think. Yeah, because he was not, he was definitely not very wealthy, growing up, so... Yeah, he was actually a Democrat, funnily enough.
Oh, same with Ronald Reagan. Until, like, he changed, I'm assuming?
I don't think so. I think the Democratic Party just stood for something else back then.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because there's such...
What just happened?
Also in that mod, the far right party is known as the Old Democratic Party.
Really?
Yes, which might be a thing. I have no idea.
Take it slow.
I feel that.
It's fine. I can lose like tons of time here and still do it. That just sucks. Finally, dude. I should be like done.
Yeah, I think it probably used to be like pretty right, and then it was like actually nowhere left. Maybe. I have no idea.
Change directions.
Yes, actually, I'm going this way. Yeah, so he was one of the leaders in the Civility War. Another one is the, what is it called? Oh yes, another one is the SPA, the Socialist Party of America.
Ah.
I think you can I think you know which way this one's going.
It's the Socialist Party of America. I mean, what else is there to say?
Yes, the dominant force of the left wing American politics. Yes, they're led by a guy called Jack Reed.
Jack Reed? What a name.
Which, yeah, I assume he's a real person? Yes, he was. It? Wait, what? So, there's no way this is the right guy. Funnily enough, there is currently a senator called Jack Reed.
Same guy or no? Assuming not.
No, it can't be because he was born in 1949.
Oh, I mean, people can still be alive. Right?
Yeah, but like the mod's based in 36.
Oh.
I'm gonna see. Actually, they have a little. Clearly, they got him from somewhere, so. He's from Oregon. No idea. Right. Yes, they are definitely leftwards. They make up the. They turn into the combined. Actually, no, they don't. If you go even more left, they can turn into the Combined Syndicates of America. Yeah, they're led by the Red Guard.
Red Guard, what a fancy name.
Yes. They don't have any. The other two that appear are there's another one called the Pacific States of America, which is pretty interesting. They're just kind of they're like kind of middle in politics, and they're just kind of the Pacific states on they're basically it's basically the West Coast.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the West Coast as well. And then there is the United States of America, which is the federal government thing that's led by, I think it turns into a military junta by Douglas MacArthur.
That's how you pronounce that?
Junta? Yeah, I think so.
The junta. Well, it depends. Is it a Spanish word? Because then it'd be junta.
I'm good.
Alright.
It is Spanish.
Page. Yeah, it's junta then.
Junta.
Junta. I am nervous. Oh! I can't even. Oh, I can't do marble shards. I was gonna do marble shards, but I didn't rebind my controllers. Frick. Sucks. It's fine, I probably would have failed it anyway.
Yay. Yes, there's a guy called Douglas MacArthur who served in WW-DOS. Yep, and I think he basically takes over the U.S. Like, yeah, he makes a basically. He's usually like the first one to die, actually.
That's
Because
unfortunate.
he does not really get a ton of support, understandably, as he literally just takes over the country.
That sucks. Well, no, that doesn't suck. Never. Over the entire country. Kind of forgot about that part.
The interesting thing is usually Canada takes the New England.
What?
We are usually Canadian. Sometimes we get like released. Sometimes they just occupy New England, but usually what happens is that like New England basically asks for protection because we do not want to get involved in the Civil War, which is fair.
Yeah.
And we basically just join Canada, which Canada is basically made up of exiles from Britain. So all of the people that lived there that were not communist were basically exiled, went to Canada.
How do you exile every single capitalist?
They don't. It was mainly like the leaders stuff, like kind of the higher ups, basically. So they just sent all of those guys over there, and it might have even been willingly too. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, the same thing happened in France. Both the UK and France go communist, and France actually goes to Africa.
What? They just moved to Africa?
So they had a ton of African colonies after the good old scramble for Africa.
Yeah.
And they just set up shop in the African colonies. And then there's a whole, if you play as them, basically your goal is to just retake the mainland. Which is somewhat difficult, but also kind of not difficult. I don't know.
I mean, you bombed the entire world and turned it all into freaking... What did you turn it into? France?
Spain.
Spain, right.
Spain overall.
Spain overall.
True. Yeah. So that happens. That's a fun little thing. So I think Canada also gets Alaska, maybe? Or maybe they're...
Why would they
Actually,
want...
I think Alaska and Hawaii actually get set free.
Huh.
I think the Kingdom of Hawaii is actually free in that one. So yes. What else happens?
Please, I'm not sure I got the aim right. I got the aim right. Let's go.
Oh baby. Let's talk more.
Let's do that.
Politico. What else? Politics. Politics. What is your opinion on? What? I gotta think of something good here. Continue with your run.
That. Speedy, dude. For not doing marble shards, that was good shards movement. Okay.
What is your take on, like, the Civil War?
What about it?
Like, how do you know a lot about it?
Maybe? I don't actually remember if I did. I know a bit, but...
Yeah. I assume you're, well... I assume you're, like, not for the Confederates, correct?
No, not really. I mean, I like their general as a person, but their Well, okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. So, the whole thing about like, uh, them like fighting for racism, that was bad, right?
Yes.
Obviously, that was bad. But I think a lot of it was they felt bothered by the other people, the North or whatever. Did that make him right for them to leave? Maybe not. Should we have let them leave? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Odd thing.
I think the reason why they were fighting is like, it's just like they were pretty clearly, people argue otherwise, but they were pretty clearly fighting for slavery. And it's like,
Yeah, among other things, yes. Yeah.
I mean, you can't really defend that. And while people try, you can. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the truth. You know, you can't really do anything about it. So that's why I'm just kind of like, I don't think they were good people. I don't think they were. I think some of them were inherently bad.
Yeah.
Others, maybe not.
Well, the thing is, though, they were like a lot of them were like really patriotic, and their whole cause was just fight for your state, right? Like you
Yeah,
grew
it
up
was
here,
just-
fight for it, right?
Yeah, I think to an extent it was just kind of like people were feeling nationalistic pride or whatever and wanted
Yeah.
to like fight for their country or whatever. And it's like,
Right.
it's kind of the same thing for Germany. Like you could argue the same thing for the Nazis in World War II. It's just like they were fighting for their country and yada yada yada. But you know, at the same time, the Confederates were not persecuting Jewish people, but they were enslaving
Black people.
colored people. Yes.
Yes.
Black people. Yes.
Is colored people
So
considered people? Yeah, you're supposed to say people of color. Colored people considered racist. For whatever reason.
people of color. Okay. People of color, like African Americans.
Yeah.
They were what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, I don't think they weren't as bad as the Nazis, but they were not good. I would say.
They weren't nearly as bad as the Nazis.
To an extent, I feel like it's like he really did fight an entire civil war over slaves.
True. That is true.
It's like I don't know. Kind of tough to say because it's like obviously, unlike Hitler and Stalin, it's like those weren't in the same time period, so you can't really make good
You can't make
comparisons. Yeah,
You can say like what
You
actions
can-
they took.
you can make some like similar, but not really the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where is he? Oh, I see him. Fuck you, Topper. I hate Toppers.
True.
Freak Topper. Looking at you.
Freak. Yes.
Freak
What else? Where would you, if you genuinely like got deported, but you had a choice of where you could go? Like, where would you actually move to?
That's a good question. See, I don't like know a whole lot of places. That's the thing. I mean, it's easy to say somewhere really tropical, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of downsides. Like, it costs a lot of money to live there a lot of the time. Like, it's volcanoes.
True.
I would try to find somewhere with the most, like, stable government. I'd say Australia is a pretty good pick, even though spiders, disgusting. I would also, Canada would be a pretty good pick, I think. Yeah, I think, for me, they're a bit left, but they're fine, whatever.
Finland.
Inland, yeah, they are some of the happiest, yeah.
And they are also like the most stable. Yeah, I'd say like Scandinavia is like the role models of the world.
Yeah.
Other places get close, but they're not Scandinavia.
Right. We like to think we're really stable, but like in reality,
We ain't.
political things ain't going so well recently.
Yeah, no.
Also, I need you to keep talking during this nut jump. I play better when I'm a little distracted.
Yes, I think I'd probably like to go to. I want to go. I don't actually know where I'd go. I think it would be close between like the Netherlands and Germany, or maybe
Yeah,
somewhere in
oh, the
Scandinavia.
Netherlands. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'd probably go there, honestly.
I would go with you. I think because it's
I
like
hope so.
I would deport myself with you.
Do it.
I will. I'll get both of us deported to the Netherlands. Okay, I gotta keep talking. Right. Yes. So I think I like the Netherlands. I think it's I think you'd probably like it there too. It's
Yeah.
kind of, they do lean pretty leftwards, but it's like it's not really that bad. Like, I mean, I think you'd be fine. And again, it's a lot of
Yeah.
bicycles.
Yeah, I do like that part.
Riding.
Their road design is really good.
Yes, that's very true. It's pretty tight there, and like if you go to like the big cities and stuff like that, like it's pretty, well, it's a city. So, but
Right.
I think even in like they have some decent farms and stuff there. I feel like kind of like more rural would be pretty cool. But then again, road design would not be as optimal for bike riding.
Yeah.
It's more optimal, but not as optimal as cities are, because that's like the whole. Yeah, baby.
No way, dude. This is a PB. I think I just bought the small ant.
Go.
Thank you for your talking.
Let's go. No problem. That's what I do best. Another nice thing about the
That
Netherlands-
jumps. Oh. Okay.
Holy cow. They're right near Germany, which I would also probably like to go to quite a bit, just because Germany also seems pretty cool. They have a lot of, and
Heritage.
both the Netherlands and Germany have a bunch of castles and old stuff. Like the Netherlands have like,
Oh yeah.
we have like hundreds of museums, and Germany has like thousands of castles and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like plenty of stuff to do.
That reminds me, Ireland would be pretty cool because they have a lot of old
Ireland.
stuff.
Ireland, I would also not be unhappy with. I
Yeah.
would also. I
Well,
think
I wouldn't
I'd
want to
like
live there. Their weather sucks.
That's true. Although I kind of like rainy. I always like how miserable it is. It's like that's kind of cool. It's like
What? What did
it's
you just
miserable,
say?
but like that's pretty nice.
I highly disagree with you there, but that's okay.
That's yeah. That's fine. I kind of like the rain. I don't know. I mean, I'm weird. I kind of like rain and kind of weather like that.
Yeah, but like you want your sunlight. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you want plenty of sunlight, and especially like in the summer, it's like I want to be out. I want it to be sunny, but it's like in the fall and spring and stuff, I'm perfectly content with having quite a bit of rain.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just kind of like it makes you feel more just kind of like for me it's like it makes you feel like you have an excuse to not be productive.
So you want that all the time. You just want to not be productive. What I'm hearing.
That's but it's like if you had the choice to just not do anything and just live somewhere and just you don't have to be productive. Like I literally I want to just live somewhere where it rains all the time, where I can just sit there, not do anything, and just relax.
You can't enjoy yourself. Like there's no beaches. There's no like mountain climbing. You're gonna slip. You can't do anything cool with
That's
your life.
true.
I feel like
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
this is really. How did I come so close to my gold here? If I gold Moon Kingdom, this is a sub 121.
Yeah.
You gotta focus here, but that means keep talking.
Okay, I will absolutely do
Let's
that.
continue the conversation, you know?
Continuing. Yeah, I definitely like the rain, but I definitely do like my sun. I like warmer.
Yeah.
Like I kind of explained to you, like I'm kind of a bit more of a southern guy. I like
Yeah.
70 degrees is like my perfect temperature.
Right.
So I think I don't actually know where I want to go. I'd definitely be willing to compromise in the Netherlands, obviously. I definitely want to go there. But like if I didn't really have to think about any of that, I think if it was like only like this place looks nice and has good weather, it would probably be somewhere tropical.
Yeah, fair.
Which I think is like everyone's answer, because everyone just wants to be in like nice warm places where it's just like if you don't have to care about politics or anything like that, like it's just you know you could just kind of go wherever. At that point, it's just like why wouldn't you? But
Fair.
I'll keep talking.
Sorry. Almost failed me to get
yeah.
there.
Yes, what was I gonna say?
No clue.
I liked Germany when I went there. It looked,
Oh, you went there?
It looked pretty. Yeah, well, so back in 2018 was my first time to both the Netherlands and Germany. I was about a week for April vacation. Unfortunately, there were some unforeseen reasons as to one reason why we had to go there, which was because my great grandmother unfortunately passed away right as we were going. Yeah, well, I didn't really know her, which is fortunate and unfortunate, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that
like-
makes sense.
Yeah, when you don't know them, it's just kind of like
Yeah, like you kind of
It
wish you
sucks,
do,
but
like
it's-
you wish you knew your family, but
you
at the
wish
same
you
time,
did, but at the same time, it doesn't really.
affect you as much, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I went there. That was one of the reasons why we went, and I was actually gonna see her, but it was like, obviously, but it's whatever, you know. It happens.
It is what
Um,
it is.
It is what it is. Exactamundo. Speaking of Mundo, Taco Mundo. On a bit of a side tangent, there was a very good Mexican place while I was in Amsterdam called Taco Mundo.
I have a similar thing.
Okay, what's yours?
So when I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, remember the hotel just for the pool?
Yes.
Uh, there was a Mexican place that I brought us to. I found on Google Maps. Your webcam is screwed right now. I don't know what's going on. But holy, we went there. Their chimichurris. I think that's what, like the burrito thing. Yeah, I think it's
Chonga?
chimichurri. Oh yeah, chimichanga. Their chimichangas were so freaking good, and I had never had one before.
Really?
Yeah. Like it was, and then at the end, they were like, okay, you guys were really nice, and they brought us these, like, delicious, like, chocolate tortilla chip things. Oh.
Churros?
What? No.
Did you get churros?
Not a
No,
churro.
not churros. Chocolate tortilla chip thing. I have no idea what that is. I do like my Mexican food, but,
Yeah.
considering I'm actually having it tonight, which is funny. Yes, very awesome.
What was the
yeah,
one in Germany, like?
It was in Amsterdam, which is the capital of the Netherlands. Actually.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yes. Yes, it was. I think the first day we got there, because I'll explain my trip basically. So we had. It's like it's a fairly long flight. It's not too long, but it's not short either. It's a couple hours, good couple of hours. And we landed at like 7 in the morning, basically, at the airport.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was kind of weird because, you know, have you heard of jet lag?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, we were very jet lagged, and it's very hard to explain what it feels like, because it's like, have you felt jet lag before?
No, I've never flown.
Yeah, so it's like you're really tired, but you don't know why. But you do know why, because it's obviously because of jet lag. Let's go.